Welcome back. Now onto our financial topic of the week. Here today to talk about who should you choose as a trustee. We're joined by Colton Saunders with Edward Jones. Colton, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Mary Grace. Great to be here.
Of course, great to be speaking with you. Now, when drawing up your estate plans, it's useful a lot of times to create a trust, which one example that can give you pretty significant control over how and when your assets are distributed. But here we're trying to talk about who should oversee your trust. Now, Colton, I know there are two main kind of basic types of trust. I was wondering if you could explain those and if they have different impacts on your decision.
Of course, there's many different types of trust. The two most common would be like revocable and irrevocable trust. Revocable are trusts that you can change. They're revocable, so you can change them at any time throughout your lifetime. An irrevocable trust is one that maybe you want to, not change and lock in forever, and you have certain protections when you do such things. It's best if you want to get into that kind of conversation to talk to your tax or your legal person and or your tax person as well. And then they'll be able to give you more insight to those.
Okay, and am I right in thinking that a lot of the times people will decide to choose themselves as a trustee?
Yes, while they're living, I think that's very common. However, we have to begin to think, beyond your lifetime and who do you want to, oversee your assets or oversee your estate when something happens to you, to distribute your estate and make sure your wishes are fulfilled.
Okay, absolutely. So what are some of those things we should be considering?
Well, I guess the most important attribute to think of when trying to think of a successor trustee would be trust. That's the number one thing, at least we think, is important. Are they going to act in your best interest? Will they do things that you intended to happen? So trust is a very important thing, obviously, to make sure that candidate has, but it's not the only thing. A couple other things that come to mind would be financial management skills. Of course, that's important, and a good litmus test there is, do they manage their own finances well? So if they do, then they may pass that test. Another thing might be mental and physical fitness and health. A lot of times trust can take many years. Things drag out a long time sometimes to get everything distributed and get everything finished up. And so you want to have somebody that's, clear-minded and in good health to do that. And then the last thing, Mary Grace, is just someone that's going to kind of be able to stay away from some of the conflicts of interest. Sometimes people can be misguided by certain conflicts of interest, whether it's within the family or something along those lines. So try to pick somebody that's going to be able to kind of stay out of that as well.
Absolutely. So those are all very important things. And this is a super important decision to make. And oftentimes it's great to talk it out. I know, Edward Jones, you all are people who can kind of help with this. How can people get in touch with you, Colton?
Yeah, so just look us up online, edwardjones.com. You can click on looking for a financial advisor and find there's several of us here in town. We'd be happy to meet and chat with you.
Excellent. Well, again, Colton Saunders with Edward Jones. Colton, thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks, Mary Grace.
Of course.